What's up? Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads, and check out the links posted in the description down below to support the channel. Thank you. So in today's video I want to talk about David De Gea, and David De Gea needs to get out of the club of Manchester United. This fella has been woeful for Manchester United, and I think now is coming to a time where people are starting to realise that, and they're not being blindsided and not being blinded by the likes of the players choice of the year, or fan voted player of the year, things that can be manipulated and things that are very odd to say the very least. I'm looking at this fella and saying, well, what trophies are you holding? I don't give a shit if the players voted you as some nice fella. I don't give a shit if the fans allegedly voted you as player of the season. I don't care. What silverware are you holding? None. Are you good with penalties? No, you're not. You have a very bad record at that. Are you good at passing the ball? No, you're not. Are you good at commanding your area? No, you're not. These are all things that are expected of goalkeepers, especially in today's game. This fella is a relic of the past. Oh, he's a good shot stopper. That's the bare minimum that you're expecting now of a goalkeeper. That's the goalkeeper's job. It's to stop shots. Oh, well, that's what he's there for. Yeah, but he can't pass a ball. The fella at Brighton absolutely embarrassed this fella. The fella at Brentford embarrassed this guy. They are well more capable keepers than this fella is. And that's what I'm talking about. That's something that needs to be adjusted pretty quickly. How many centre-halves have come in and out of the club, and people can't figure out how these centre-halves have come in and not played well? How long is it going to be before people start looking at this fella and start saying to themselves, maybe he's the problem? Because how can you have a Champions League winner and a World Cup winner and Rafael Varane that seems to be struggling? Well, look at this fella. It's very simple. Look at the stuff that this guy does. Now, you have an incident that happened in the Brighton game where David De Gea kicked possession out, as he does, and kicked it to the opposition. It's one of two things that happens with David De Gea normally with his possession and kick-outs. It either goes out of play or it goes to the opposition. So that's what happened at Brighton. Brighton got the ball, came back down the other end and nearly scored a goal. This is what happened here in this game. Now, this is after the major blunder that he had in that game. And what I'm going to show you is this. David De Gea is here in a standing position with his eyes clearly in his head, and he's looking at Eriksen. This is Eriksen here. This is a fella, by the way, who has passed on to the other side and was brought back, and yet still put in a better performance than some of the other players out there. He thinks that this guy is going to outrun this guy. Let's just show you this. There's a player here in Harry Maguire, and that's Diogo Dalot. So you're being attacked from this side, and this side. The simple pass to make is this one. Now, an Ederson and an Alisson would make that pass. 100%. They wouldn't fire this pass into this fella and think to themselves, you have a 50-50 chance of this ball arriving to you and maybe you passing it over here. That's what's happened here. Instead, it would be slotted out to him, he'd drive it out to him, or what could happen is Maguire could collect the ball and start running forward, and Diogo Dalot could press up this way, which brings a player over here. Now, I would assume that this is what Erik ten Hag is going to do. He's going to view images like this and video like this and start to understand that David De Gea is culpable, which he is, for at least two of these goals. The third one as well too, I'd say he's culpable for too, because I don't think he commands the box whatsoever. Flappy. Just flapping around there. So, Manchester United need to look at a goalkeeper very soon, and this is actually the position, to be quite honest with you, when we're talking about midfield and forwards and stuff like that, this is the position that I'm worried about most, is the goalkeeper. Because if United go through another season with this fella, it's going to be bad news. They've let Dean Henderson go as well too, which I think was a bad idea, and we even seen then as well in the first game where there was a ball that came across and David De Gea stood on his line and put United players in trouble, which indeed resulted in a goal. The previous day then, that Dean Henderson fella came out and collected the ball. Problem was over. So, this is a fella that's been dropped by Luis Enrique. This is a fella that's a relic of the past, and this is someone that needs to be moved on from the club ASAP. Now, David De Gea is a very clever PR merchant, and I think it's again the same thing that has been given to these players. These players now are more or less politicians at this stage, with the ability to blame others and come out and shift the blame. You have people that are out there now that said, well, fair play to David De Gea coming out and giving an interview. We didn't see Harry Maguire giving an interview. David De Gea was at fault for, at the very least, 2, and in my opinion 3 goals that were conceded against Brentford. Absolutely, he should be coming out and doing an interview. But you have to understand that David De Gea coming out and doing an interview is to protect the brand of David De Gea. He didn't come out there all sorry for Manchester United and sorry to the fans, anything like that. He couldn't give a rat's. He's going home and he's still being paid massive wages. So that's one incident there, for example, within the game. But I also wanted to show you was this. You have David De Gea, who has correctly been identified within this game for being at fault for at least 2 of the goals. I'll just say at least, because I believe he was at fault for 3, because I think a keeper not being able to command their area is very suspect and should warrant an exit immediately. It's what you expect, especially with the ability to use hands. You should be expecting it at the bare minimum. And throwing the likes of Martinez under the bus, not good enough. Here's Ronaldo's been used as an image here. ESPN FC, Brentford, 18th minute, right? 2-0. An image of Ronaldo. Why? The fault was at David De Gea. So how has Ronaldo been using this image? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm talking about? How the media manipulates people? Oh, Ronaldo didn't play well that day. Well, Ronaldo was playing in the team for sure. He was waving at people saying it's only 1 goal, we can get it back. And David De Gea then makes a second blunder. But Ronaldo's getting the image. How? You're seeing this one as well too. This is BR football. Manchester United are really losing 2-0 to Brentford after 18 minutes. Ronaldo waving his arms. Why is that not David De Gea? You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about a PR merchant and why the club is in decline and why the club is where it is. Because you've got a man here with standards, with ability, that's a professional, and he's looking at the dross, the geek that's standing behind him. And he's getting the blame. Nah, not having this. Then you see this then as well too, and it says Mark Albridge from the 5th of June. All these Enrique quotes about De Gea, they've just won Players Player of the Year. He's not winning any silverware, Mark, so I mean, that doesn't matter a bollocks, does it? Courtois won Man of the Match in the UCL final and isn't quick off his line or good with his feet. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. And then Thibaut Courtois actually responded to this and had a picture of him with the trophies. That's brilliant. Keeper's first job is to save goals, and we have one of the best in the business. No, we don't. And David De Gea actually cost 2, if not 3, in that game. So how long is it going to be? Again, Mark is one of these people too that says, I like the player, I like David De Gea, I like Luke Shaw. Players that are junk, that have losers' mentalities, that are not going to bring the club anywhere. And that's part and parcel of the problem in the PR machine and the spin. Oh, David De Gea is one of the best in the world. Well, if he's one of the best in the world, why are the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Juventus, even Manchester City, why are they not sniffing around them? Because they know. And some of the tactics as well too, funnily enough, that supposedly got out there from Brentford from a whiteboard, where that the plan was to leave Maguire unoccupied and to let this fella pass the ball out because he knows he's terrible. So when you fans and indeed players and coaches and managers of other teams recognising, and indeed one of the best managers that are out there at the moment, I mean, imagine questioning Luis Enrique, like, come on, as to how he views David De Gea. Luis Enrique is bang on the money here. And what this is a PR market and merchandise exercise, giving you an idea that this fella is wonderful when he's not. I would pick Manuel Neuer, Ederson, Alisson. I would pick Dean Henderson ahead of this fella. Yet this guy is still at Manchester United. It's time for him to go. He's at the club way too long, and he's someone that I think is wide to the game of PR and politics by requesting that interview. And that interview told me an awful lot more about David De Gea than it did before, when I said to myself, he's out here taking the blame, rightfully so, fair play to him, but a lot of people will get dragged into that attitude of fair play to him. How many more times during the season are you going to witness this fella make an absolute bollocks of a situation before you say to yourself, well, maybe he's the problem? Anyway, this fella needs to go 100%, and I hope that Erik ten Hag gets him out the door really quickly. And it's another person, when they're talking about wage bills and structure and that, has to go. That's mega money he's on, and he doesn't deserve it at all. Get him out. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads. Check out the links posted in the description down below to support the channel. I'll talk to you later. Good luck.